Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another podcast, teaching sons about women. Now, this podcast was made possible by the generous donation of a gentleman who wanted to answer some questions. He wanted to know when to start teaching his son about females and female nature now that he's becoming interested in girls. He said the young man was 11, right? And you know, what should he be telling him? Don't want him to become a simp. Look, I'm going to be straight up with you. And I've told this story several times because people thought I was bullshitting, but it really happened. You know, I told the story when I was 7 years old. I'm in Southeast D.C. For those familiar with the area, Ketchum Elementary School, out on the playground one day. This little boy, you know, he first started kissing on this little girl. They were both young. Then he took his dick out. She started licking it, right? Of course, the teacher had to put a stop to that. But I went home and told my mother. She broke down the sex game in general for me. Plus, she kind of had some help, too. Yeah, Child Protective Services removed me from my mother's custody when I was 10, so it was interesting. Yeah, I laugh about it now. Keep from getting pissed. Anyway, right? Think about it, right? Think about something. You can't hold back with 11-year-olds nowadays, right? Because first of all, I'm going to tell you what. First of all, these little girls learn the game on how to interact with men from the time before they even can talk. Before they can talk, understand what I'm getting at here. Before they can even talk, they figured out at a very early age if they cried a certain way or looked a certain way or cooed a certain way, this big man that when they learned to talk they would call daddy or big brother or whatever would come a running. Plus, these little girls watching their mothers work a man. Like the pimps would say, the game belongs to women. And all the pimps do is turn the game around. See, they learning that from the time they born. They paying attention to everything, paying attention to their mother. That's why you got those little girls. I don't know if they still do it because I don't have any little girls. But, you know, when I was little, and they probably still doing the same thing, be playing house and everything based on what they seeing. So they already know it. And guys, see, little boys focused on other things unless he in a certain environment. But you got to just be straight up with them. You got to be straight up. As soon as guys get interested, that girl is probably more advanced. You know? And sad to say, you know, it could even be some molestation involved. Right? So she might have a certain attitude towards males that she'll take out. You know? And, you know, if you talk about around 11, so you got to think, okay, she's 11. She probably has some 14-year-old dudes coming for her. Right? And I've actually seen this. You see some 10-year-old girls, some 7-year-old girl. I remember in this neighborhood, right? This dude, he was straight up checking up this 7-year-old, and that dude was a teenager. And then I remember another case, this girl 7 years, this was a fucked up situation. I ain't gonna get into it all, but basically had sex with the 18-year-old, right? So trust me, they seeing it good and bad from young. One way or the other. Good, bad, fucked up. They seeing it. So they coming in. If a little boy innocent don't know what's up, he can be played. Now when I told my mother what I saw on that on that school playground, right? She broke down the pregnancy game to me right away. Because understand something. A lot of dudes' egos saying they running a woman or playing her. That little girl checking you out from early. In fact, I remember when I was growing up, still young, still a teenager, living with grandma. You know, Child Protective Service put us with me and my sister with my grandmother, right? I remember she would peep. I mean, she peeped. Grandma told me everything because she knew female nature. She peeped every single older woman in that neighborhood. In fact, a couple mothers peeped this one woman in the neighborhood, and they were concerned because they were telling me For those who read Nice Guys and Players, you remember I mentioned Jim? That dude was my brother growing up. Told him, they said, nah, we can't mess with her. My mom told me about her. They were already peeping because they know female nature, right? The females are more aggressive. So you want to tell them now, okay, hold up. Everybody, see, dudes mistakenly think they got to chase women, right? Nah, that woman already scheming. That girl might be 5 years old writing some dude's name in her book. She's supposed to be studying. The kid sitting there, he just want to play with his Tonka trucks or something like that. That little girl already planning the wedding. So the thing you gotta just realistically tell her, that woman is not some innocent. She might play innocent. She'll play innocent to get you to approach or something. And she'll be like, okay, that woman that little girl already playing it. So they get slick with it. And they continue it. Now I know some women going to hear this. Hey, no, I ain't do that. Stop lying. Ladies, seriously, y'all know I know. Y'all know I know. I grew up around a bunch of pretty girls. I used to just sit back and watch how they manipulated boys. Hell, I watched how my mother used to manipulate men. So shit. God. Let's just say we were poor. So look. I'm gonna just tell your asses down. The advice I would say, you gotta tell him everything. You gotta be straight up. And it's better he hear from you than he, click on one of these porn sites that really do a poor job of keeping like little kids out. They say, if you're under 18, click away. Click in it anyway. It's better he find out. And, it's not just the mechanical part of sex. I mean, you want to explain that. And actually, if you need to use some props or there's some videos out there that show some stuff if you need to use some props. But you got to give them a real sex education, because plus they'll get that in school. They'll say, hey, if you do this and all of that. The real education you got to give them is like, all right, son, you getting up there. You might get some little girl in your school that figure you kind of cute, so she wants your baby, And she might say, hey, come here. My parents ain't home. Why don't you come over? Right? Why don't you come over? Why don't we just do it? Right? And any real players, some girls will do that. They be grabbing you and shit. Right? So you let him know. It's like, hold up. You let him know, all right, this is how the girl's going to come at you. Tell him, keep the line of communication open so that little boy can always come to you if you need to get a condom or ask a question. Because you can sit down and explain stuff to him. You can take 2 hours. You can take a whole day. But then some will come up you didn't talk about. So you got to be prepared to mentor him. So one of the main things, keep the lines of communication open. Say he can tell you everything. And, and especially ask him about, like, if he has a wet dream. Like, always ask him. Like, have you had a wet dream? Explain what a wet dream is, because really on a deeper level, a wet dream saying he's ready to mate. And usually the female, he usually has a wet dream about the dominant female in his environment. Like, my first wet dream was over one of those older women my grandmother was trying to tell me to stay the fuck away from. So, but you gotta learn that. Oh, and I was gonna say about my grandmother, she like I said, she did peep every single little girl. Like, one little girl said, like, kind of next door to her, she said, yeah, I'm gonna get Rom. Grandma warned her about me. Apparently she didn't warn her enough, because I still got with her. So anyway, right? Understand that game. Understand that you gotta be out. You gotta tell them about, okay, women be running this game. Be careful of that woman who's giving it to you too easily. Right? If the little girl giving it to you too easy. Remember, when a little girl interact with you, she always got an agenda. Always. Even if it's just because she think the little boy the cutest in school and she just won't walk around with him. And let the other heifers know, yeah, I got him. Let him know. Let him know these little girls are competitive. If he's the cute little boy, they competing for him. They might give him gum. Like my oldest son, he be coming home with like bags of candy. I be like, how you get all this candy? He said girls be giving him gum. I was like, how you get it? Because he don't buy it. He don't go to the store that much on his own. Right? He just don't go to the store. Because you got little girls be giving him stuff. I be looking up and be like, what's this? You say, oh yeah, this girl gave it to him. They be scheming, bringing gifts and shit. Understand that. Tell him that. And see, the mechanical part, that's easy, but you gotta tell him the game. She wants something. She might just, like I said, tell him to keep that shit wrapped. Be careful that girl say, oh, you can take it off. Oh no, she's trying to cash out early. You know. Talk to him about the type of girl, like, definitely talk to him about the type of girls he finds cute. Right? You know, and, you know, just tell him, you know, work on himself, you know. If he can play ball or something, definitely play ball, play some sports, focus on that thing. And, you know, some little girl's still going to try to give him some. Just say, look, wear a condom. Don't try some bullshit telling him not to, right? No, don't try that, because that's the best way to get him to do it. If I want my kids to, like, just go out and have something, I'll say, nah, you can't do it. That's guaranteeing they're going to do it. All right, but just be honest with him. Just say, look, you need to focus on your agenda. If you tell him about the different types of women, just tell him, okay, this one might be kind of trashy. You know, she trying to cash out. She think you cute or something like that. You know, this one might just be the type who just want to deal with the most popular boy in school. All right, as best as possible, tell him the type of different games. And like I said, always, every little girl got an agenda. Even if it's just she just plain like you, that's still an agenda. She just want to get with you. But always understand that, right? But at the end of the day, you got to make sure he sticks with his own agenda. And he always puts his own agenda first. And then if he got to deal with a girl that she follows, she's in line with what he trying to do, not the other way around. Because that's part of the game women try to play anyway, even if they're not directly controlling. They gonna try to get you to go along with their agenda. It ain't evil or anything. It's just a woman's nature. You know, it really is. It really is. It's like, that's the one thing. And let them know. I'll say, let the guys know, look, these women ain't evil or whatever. You know, a woman by nature is selfish because her whole thing is to get your seed. That's her whole thing. Especially when she hit puberty, that's when she is most likely to be imprinted. And her whole drive, especially at puberty, is to get impregnated by whatever's perceived to be the alpha male in her environment. So that could be the local drug dealer. That could be the star jock. If she's in a upper class area, that could be the smartest guy in class. Right? Whoever's the popular dude. I mean, she just has a drive for it. And what guys got to understand, and you got to explain this to them, explain this to the little boys, it don't make a bit of sense. In fact, any parent out there of a little girl, any parent, any dudes listening to this, you can probably point to a point when their little girl started getting a little crazy. All of a sudden, that little girl who just wanted to be a tomboy and stuff, all of a sudden wants to wear makeup and start wearing dresses and be all awkward in some small heels or something. But that's just normal because they drive at that point when they hit puberty. Their drive at that point is to get impregnated. If we lived in a different type of culture, that's really the females will have most of their babies as teenagers anyway. And they would be raised primarily by the grandparents, but we don't live in that type of culture. But that's when they're ready. That's why those little girls, they can pop out a baby and then be up and running like in 20 minutes. You know, seriously, because they built for it. And they built for it. It's a subconscious drive in them. No rational thought is going to stop it. People try, but it really ain't. When they try, I've seen it though. I've seen a lot of little girls experienced it. When they reach a certain age, they get extremely aggressive. And if you talk to them, boys be thinking they're aggressors. No, they just playing the role for them. But see, you explain all that. Explain all that. You know, main thing, tell a little boy what's going on, but no matter what, focus on his agenda. That'll keep him out of a lot of trouble. And I'm saying a lot, not totally, because there's nothing more powerful on the planet than a woman trying to give a man something. Nothing. It's nothing. Trust me, she will find a way. Seriously. If I could put that same energy, I could cure every disease on the planet. figure out a way to teleport to Mars or something. If I take that same drive women have to get pregnant, and to pull a man into other endeavors, if they could practice sex transmutation, wow, seriously. So anyway, right? But you wanna tell, just be straight up with any sons. Just be straight up. Talk to them. Talk to them. Talk to them. When something come up, talk to them. You know, every time some little girl, I'm out and some little girls is like, hey, to my son or whatever, one of my sons, I'm like, I'm going over it. Especially if they cute. Because I'm like, yeah, she came, because like a lot of little girls approach my 16-year-old, right? A lot of them, and he's actually quiet, but a lot of little girls approach him, and I always say, all right, she got an agenda, she know who you are. Hell, I met a little girl, a young girl at some little store. She said where she went to high school. I said, yeah, my son goes there. She said, I mentioned his name. She said, oh yeah, I know him. I was like, shit. I asked him, did he know her? He's like, no. It's like, fuck. So anyway, right? But you gotta be straight up with him. So anyway, that's all I got for today. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace and blessings.